Welcome back, everyone, to the Zuzu and Aesha Straight Up podcast. We have got Jack Lyons with us today.
Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Pleasure to be here.
Good. Now, with young Jack, he's a pro MMA fighter that I've known since he was 15. How old are you now, Jack?
22.
22.
So,
Wow.
7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his ears have grown. No.
I've grown into
And,
big one.
yeah, so we're going to let Jack speak a little bit about himself and just introduce himself so you guys can get to know who he is, what his journey has been so far through his martial arts, I guess.
Yep.
And just through life, basically.
Yeah.
So go for it, bro.
Yeah, so I'm Jack. I've obviously met Zuzu Joey through MMA. Just when I was 15, I was playing footy played footy from I grew up around the footy scene from under nines. Like when I was a kid, 8 to about 15, I was quite that was what I loved. That was what I did, and eventually I sort of just kind of got over it. And I thought I really want to try something new. And I said to Dad, I'm interested in fighting. Like we'd occasionally watch the UFC and things like that, but it was just something I just thought, I'm just going to give it a crack. And I walked into the gym, and the day level I walked in, it was just like, I felt at home, like this is where I belong. And I just have not looked back once. And now it's been 7 years. I've set some decent goals in the time, and I've ticked them off, and just got new goals lined up, and I'm just going to keep plodding along and ticking them off. But so I'm a professional MMA fighter. I went trained for 5 years, from 4 years, 15 to 19. Had 20 amateur fights throughout my time. Kickboxing, boxing, and a few MMA. And the plan was to go professional MMA, and that's what we did. And that was a big step for me. Like, I always had a goal of life because I've always sort of been the athletic type, to become a professional athlete. Like, that was a big goal for me. When I when I did it when I was 19, I was it was a big goal for me to achieve. And just keep ticking along that. And
Can I quickly ask you a question? A lot of the fighters or people that have sort of reached a level of success, they have a story or something that's happened to them that's actually made them get to that, right?
Yeah.
So, like, whether it could be bullying, whether it could be like you're the only brown kid in the white school, whether there was something, whether it was abuse or something. Like, most of the stories that you hear about people that are, especially in this sport, they've come from a place where they have
a fighting background.
Something that they've had to survive, fight for. So did you have anything like that, or what do you think it was? Because it's not a sport that you can just walk into and go, fuck, man, like, this is because it's a mind thing as well, you know, and it's not a team sport. It's literally warrior against warrior. So what do you reckon is your thing?
Well, for me, obviously I played footy at, I played quite a high level. I played for Dandenong Stingrays, which is a TAC Cup, did that. And I've always tried to, I grew up around the gym, around older people, always just trying to challenge myself. And because it was such a new thing, it was I walked in the gym not knowing how to throw a punch, absolutely not. I wouldn't even call it, I'd never had a fight before, ever. But for me, it's more, I think that fighting is the ultimate challenge. And I'm all about challenging myself. I've done those hard, ridiculous runs for days, anything to just try and push the boundaries.
But what that's my point though,
fighting.
Not everyone has that. What is it within you, do you reckon, that's made you, or do you think it was something innate, you had that? Because
I think for me, I've always just grown up around the gym, and when I was 13, 14, I was at the gym with mum and dad, just always kind of that environment, and I've always I love it, and that's my peace. And then I really for me, I'm anything's possible. I really just want to push the boundaries and do things. I do those runs because I want to test myself.
So I think it's the challenge, and for you, so what we understand is you didn't have, you had a good upbringing. So you were comfortable, supported family. You didn't have to, you weren't in the streets or finding yourself in trouble.
No.
It wasn't a scapegoat for you.
No.
But instead,
Or a point to prove.
A point to prove,
I have to prove this now.
But you actually, what I do know about you is you have a very high level of maturity about yourself.
Yeah.
And even when Jack was young, and I remember you walked in with Seaford Tigers.
Yeah, that's the one.
And you've always been that mature person. So I think a balance of your maturity with what you said, you want to challenge yourself.
Yeah. And the environment, like you had a support structure.
And the environment. You put those things together and you've got a recipe there.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. Who can I relate? Is anyone in the UFC similar to that? Was Charles Simon something like that?
I see, even
when he was fighting, I guess that the time with Vanderlei Silva, where Vanderlei Silva comes from Brazil, the slum, the struggle. Do you know what I mean? And he kept giving that fight. Charles Simon was a successful MMA fighter and wrestler, and it was kind of laughing at him because he didn't come from a rough background. He didn't come from a rough background.
Yeah, because I think it takes another level. That if you've had a really solid start to your life and it's sort of like you don't have massive challenges to begin with, that gives you that grit, like you gotta fucking create that grit somehow. That's a fucking huge thing.
That's hard.
That's hard.
And even now,
I don't have that fucking story. Like I don't have a story, but I'm like people that don't have a story, what do they where's that dirt that fucking helps you, like, you know?
And even now, like sometimes, like, you know, as I sort of climb the ranks or start to, like, you know, try and fight more people who may have backgrounds like that, you have to sort of, like, I find I have to try and sort of like just think like they might be like super like aggressive and they've done all these things and they've had like a rough, like, say, upbringing and that, but like for me, like I've just got to try and switch it off, like put myself in, like, it's not like, I don't know, it's not although like they've had that and I don't, like that doesn't make them a better fighter than me.
You're not at a disadvantage.
No, it's like to try and, like, it's just, for me, it's just the mind thing. Like, I'm like, have to prove myself that I am.
You have to believe in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's the sport of MMA. Like, you have to learn how to fight, but it is a massive mental game. Massive. Yeah, I'd say 50% mental. Like, you got to be there.
And you know what? I reckon nowadays it's more important that people like Jack speak about that, because not a lot of the kids nowadays are going to come up from a discomforted background, mate. They're very precious, right? So it shows that, hey, you can have a pretty decent upbringing and it's comfortable and you're good and you're all that. And you can choose to fucking bring that out in you. You don't have to fucking have a sad ass story. You don't have to wait till you're fucking on the ground. You know what I mean? So it's really important, because look at our generation. It's very comfortable.
Very comfortable.
Very fucking comfortable.
Yeah, you're right. That's cool. Now, your last fight was something you've been waiting to do for a while. Fight for a title. Yeah. And it didn't go your way.
It didn't.
So tell us your thoughts. How do you feel before, during, and after that?
Before, it was like I've had that dream for, again, when I was even when I was an amateur watching like Jamie fight for titles and things like that, I was like, I want that. You know, when that opportunity comes, I'm gonna take it, and I really want that. And then the opportunity came, and like I was like so excited and everything, but unfortunately, like it was like just didn't happen to go my way. But obviously, from now that it's happened, it hurts, it sucks. But for me, the second I stood out of that cage, once it's done, I'm like, I've got work to do, and it's lit the fire. Like, sometimes it might put people in, like, on the back foot, like, oh, maybe this isn't for me. But for me, it's like, okay, I want to prove to myself that I can get that and I can do that, and I've just got to go put in that work to be able to, you know, upgrade myself and really be able to next time get it. So I need to, it's just lit a fire. Was
it one of the biggest things? Let's take it back to even say the day before the fight, right? Was it one of the biggest events in your life that you've ever had to like face up to, deal with?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say like you said.
How did you find yourself feeling compared to other fights, for example, or anything else in life with that stature?
To be honest, I try and just separate it from what it is. Like, it was like obviously a massive fight. That and my professional debut was like a big deal to me. Like that's like the first step. But I remember in my first professional fight, I just had to think to myself over and over, it's just an amateur fight. Because if I like think so much it's about a professional fight,
it just gets a hold of you.
I
the importance gets the hold of you.
That's right. I fight good in my amateur fights. Like as I got more experience, I was comfortable and I was good. So I had to think this is just another normal amateur fight. So I am comfortable, you know.
So you were finding yourself in a place of discomfort.
Yeah. It's like it's new to me, you know. Like,
were you doing your breathwork stuff, breath training during that time as well?
Yeah.
Did you find it helped?
Yeah, 100%. So I'd never. My first fight, I've only in the sort of last year or so been big on that. One of the guys from New Zealand works with the city kickboxing guys, Dave Wood. I was interested in his stuff and reached out, and like you guys, you guys know what breathwork and all that sort of stuff is, but I didn't really understand, and I was like, I really want to learn about it, so I got on board, and then breathwork's just it's a life changer, honestly.
It's a game changer.
Yeah, 100%. You just see things you don't see, like you don't realize so many things like that, the breath and controlling.
Think about it this way, right? Like the thing is, yes, you do recover faster.
Yeah.
And the second thing is when you're under pressure, you also think better.
Yeah, 100%.
When you can manage
respond,
breath,
not react.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your mind stills. And that's a huge thing. People think, you're doing all that and stuff. It's like, but it's just such a mental sport.
Yeah.
That when you got people fighting at that level, it's not about how technical someone is.
It's those little ones.
It's really going to be,
It's actually deeper, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like even at the back of, I think it was the first fight that I'd done since I started to learn breathwork, I was just laying on the floor and you're like, you're doing breathwork. I'm like, and I'm an hour out of a fight and I'm almost asleep on the ground. Like, I'm just in my zone and I'm just like, I'm feeling everything, I'm taking everything in, and it's just like...
Was that the fight you were, I think, talking to the commentators while you were punching the guy's head?
Yeah.
Were you really?
I think the guy was complimenting you as well.
The opponent I'm punching, I'm smashing it, is like, you're a beast. I said, thanks. Gave him another one. The commentators talk to me, but like, because I was such a calm state, like at the start, like it's not like so much going on, like what's going on, I'm zoned in, I'm focused, I'm calm.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that,
That fight compared to his last fight.
Yeah.
Now, talk to us about during that fight, because I think a lot of people can relate to being in a situation where you think it's going your way and everything changes, whether it's a job interview or whatever you're doing, it can be anything. But tell us how you felt, say round 1 to went 5 rounds, didn't it? Round 1 to round 5, with something that would have been frustrating, I guess. As each round went on. So explain to us what was going through your thoughts. What were you trying to deal with that opponent in front of you?
Just trying to from the start, I felt the start was the same as it always has been. Like I'm zoned in. I was quite focused. I do my breath work before the fight. It is a big crowd, and I'm a main event. Like a main event's a big deal. Like everyone's there. You're the last, but everyone's watching you. It's like tunnel vision. I'm focused. Everything's fine like that. As the fight goes on, you get your fatigue and things like that. But my mind never wavered. But just like as you try and sort of just not get frustrated. Like, because things weren't going my way at times. I was struggling. It was long. Like I had to learn on the job pretty much.
So you had to pivot, adjust to what you're trying to do.
And it was like it was definitely a learning curve. And now that it's done, like I know how to do it better.
Do you feel now that is out of the way though? Do you feel like it's almost a good thing because you lose fear as well? Like it's like okay. Because it was such a build up, and then because I feel like some losses are really good for you.
Win or learn.
Because it's like the moment someone has fear, that is Achilles' heel, right? Because if someone hasn't lost a fight, hasn't lost a this, they have to protect something. But someone comes in that doesn't have anything to protect and doesn't have fear of loss because they've lost, different.
Now it's like I don't have to worry. I can.
I don't have to maintain this thing now. I've done. It's already broken. It's broken.
And I can just do
be me
what
again.
I do. Absolutely. Definitely feel that for sure.
And it's such a good thing, like, because my son loves, like, he trains at the gym and he loves it and he loves Jack, you know, and it's so good to know that fighters are coming in that have this kind of mindset, openness, practicing these things. Imagine, like, my son's 8 and he's doing breath work from 8 because you know someone that's achieved a certain level of success is doing it. It's okay for me to say it. But then when he looks at Jack and Jack's doing breath work, he's like, oh my God, you know, it's gonna, you know, or Jack's,
role model.
you know, so it's really, really important because, Zaraba hasn't had a sad upbringing or a life, you know, he's gonna have to find that too. It's important.
His reason why.
His reason why.
Something that we were talking about before this as well, Aisha and I, and yourself, about Paddy Pimblett, is that his name?
Yeah, Paddy Pimblett,
had a fight on the weekend in UFC, did well. But received news a day before his fight, which was at the weigh-ins, that his best mate killed himself overseas. What would that type of situation throw onto someone
onto
like,
the added
onto the added pressure on the
I just
fight?
want to add one thing, right? And I want you to also, within that answer, tell us, has your concept of what a fighter should be changed from when you first started your journey to now? Like, you know, being a man, you don't show emotion, you don't cry, all that, to like, where do you stand with all that now, hearing that story?
Well, obviously, like to be honest, like, I fight, but I'm still like a human at the same point, like same day. Like, it's so normal. Like, for Paddy, like, I don't know, that would have been a big toll to take, like a day, 24 hours before a fight, and a fight is like a massive amount of, you know, there's a massive amount of motion and pressure behind it before 24 hours before. It's a big deal.
And you're depleted. You've got no food, like your food. You know, you're like depleted.
You're vulnerable. You're vulnerable.
Very.
Open, man.
But I like. For him, like, it would have been really hard. But I don't think that, you know, like you said, I don't think crying or anything like that. I think it's normal. Like, it's absolutely, like, to feel emotions. I'm sure he would have been in that time. That, you know, it would have been devastating. But he's just focused on the fight.
But what do you feel about, like, boys, even especially young boys, teenagers that are coming into the fight thing and want to explore that, and they have this idea that, you know, men don't cry or men are tough. If you're tough, that means you don't show emotion and you don't.
So they're not egos.
I think, like, there's a time and a place for you to sort of, like, in a fight, like, you have to be fierce and you have to be strong. But for me, like, I'm an emotion, like, I get emotions and I like allow myself to have emotions. I think it's normal. I don't think, like, I talk to people. I think it's very normal. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's healthy. You definitely wear yourself down if you don't talk to someone about things, and it just bottles up, and it's not going to do yourself any good. But I find just it's like nowadays where we're allowed, like, you're allowed to feel feelings. It's normal. I'm not too, like, I'm not too sure.
I like what you said though. There's a time and place, and that's what it is. Like, I wouldn't want my son to be in the middle of a fight, and if he gets punched, he starts crying.
Of course,
but
that's a bit different.
But
that's
later
when
on,
you hide your face like that, son.
what the fuck are you doing?
Throw the towel.
But I believe so, because I believe there is strength in sometimes knowing when to fucking release as well. Like, you know, not everything is needing that emotional outlet, but I do believe that it is very healthy to know when to release and fucking release it, you know.
You've got to.
Absolutely. Because I feel like, you know, it's just nice to know for the next generation that, you know, men can, like, and you doing holistic stuff, which is breath work and stuff, and you being open to that. It's just really nice for, like, the younger kids that are coming through, you know, that you know, fighting doesn't have to be a scene of, like, violent young men that want to fucking, you know, just release their ego on each other. It can be a fucking really nice, growth in so many ways. It could be a spiritual growth, like,
absolutely.
you know, it's,
and it is,
man, isn't it? On a deeper level, look at all the martial arts where it stems from.
Yeah.
It's fucking very deep and spiritual. They're connected to everything.
Yeah.
Hey, when you played footy, you played at a decent level, right?
Yeah.
For your age at the time as well.
Yeah.
Are you the same person from when you played footy to now, from an ego standpoint, or were you more of a cocky kid? Because the only Jack I know is this placid, mature, respectful, basically no ego.
Yeah. No, to be honest, I've always sort of been like that. I've kind of been the shy kid.
Yeah.
But I never had like an ego. I treat everyone like sort of equally, and
you're a natural athlete, I reckon.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like
it's what I love. Like
But it's so nice to see that. You know, it's like this guy can damage someone, but hey, they're not.
Yeah.
They don't need to prove that.
I'm the
huge.
most. Like I hate violence. I hate
I love that.
Although I fight, you know, it's completely different. Like,
I hate violence.
I do. I don't like confrontation. I don't like fighting. I don't like things like that. I'll just try and break up a fight before I were to go in and try and sort it out. Like, I don't know. I just don't see the.
Man, that is so mature, honestly, because I'm 31, I'm one of your coaches, and I'm still struggling to put myself in that. As you're saying that, I was like, break up a fight, not gonna have a crack. Like, that's honestly you're very fucking mature, man.
That's how I've always sort of just been.
And given that you're 22 years old, I'm realising something, looking up to something in you.
Yeah, and I think that's because
I've
always grown up around people like yourself. And to be honest, I have you have your schoolmates, but when I was young, I was in the gym, everyone was older than me. I was always I worked with older people, and I used to work at Kmart, and they're all older, and I used to really get along with the older people. I just find out really wise people I sort of learn from, I connect with.
Isn't that amazing?
But yeah.
And how important is it meeting certain people
at the right time?
At the right time. Now, Jack's just come back from a trip of his lifetime as well.
Yeah.
Do you want to quickly tell us about that?
Yeah. And tell us why you decided to take that trip, and then what came of it.
Yeah. Who'd you meet along the way too? So I'm sure you would have met someone.
Yeah. I finished the fight. The fight happened, and so many emotions. So life at home, it's so busy. You got work, you got fighting, you got full-time work, full-time training. It's 2 jobs, and for me, I just you need to switch off. So I just packed the car, told my family and friends, I'm going. I packed the car, grabbed my.
Without your missus?
Nah, by myself. I said,
on your own, that's it.
Just chucked the swag on the roof and got my cooktop and went to the shop, bought some food, and just drove. Just drove. Didn't set itinerary, just hopped in and drove. And for me, that's my other thing. I love fighting, but exploring and just things like that is my other passion, and I love it. And that brings me back down to earth. Absolutely. I pretty much just lived at the beach that whole trip.
So where did you end up going?
I went from Melbourne home. I went straight to Sydney. Yeah. Albury with Dad, Sydney, and then Sydney, just had a look in the city for the day, and then I just went Manly, all the way up the coast, Port Macquarie, Byron Bay, Gold Coast, Burleigh. Yeah.
Where did you end up?
Sunshine Coast. So went to I went to a friend's place. I caught up with my friend, longtime friend, who moved up to Queensland, so I went up to see him for a week.
Who, Marco? Was it?
Nah, Jason, my friend Jason. I've known this since I was 6, primary school.
Oh, cool.
Always been close with him, and just drove up there, saw him for a week, and then Alyssa. So I did my tour a week and a bit by myself. And although I love my people, that was the best by myself. I could really just do what I wake up. And,
I saw you doing videos, shadow boxing on the beach at sunrise.
And it's pretty meditating.
And that's the thing,
meditating. Beautiful.
There was a few times where I got super in depth, and it's just
it's amazing. Is that yours?
It's
popular. But I just wake up. There it goes. I was enjoying it.
Seriously.
One day we'll get it perfect.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly right. I just like wake up with the sun, or wake up before the sun, and go to bed when the sun went down. And like,
that's how we're meant to live, man.
Yeah, 100%. You really like,
fully connected,
and your rhythm starts to be rhythmic with the earth. You know,
Yeah.
and you're in cycle with it.
absolutely.
You know.
And you just, I was like, felt so free, so like, just like I had no stress about anything. Like I'd just wake up, watch the sunrise. I'd go for a run every morning, and then it wasn't no crazy, like I was on holiday. I'd just get the body moving, and then I'd go in the ocean, and each morning it was, no matter how sort of cold.
Did you find going from such a stimulated world to that, did you find a massive difference? Did you find it hard at the start? Or like, because you know, people are so fucking like, they're stimulated everywhere. So it's like, to choose to do that, overstimulated. To do that is a huge freaking switch. It's huge. So did you notice?
Oh, 100%. The second you leave the city, like, it's just like, for me, like, open plains and nothing and no one around, and leave my phone in the back, like, it's like, this is the best. Like, after this, I'm going to the bush after this, like, you know, I'm going to just switch off.
I saw you had the swag up.
Have the swag on the roof,
But see, you're good because you like that. Some people can't be alone, man. That's the thing, though. Some people can't be alone.
Yeah, like, and like,
huge.
if I don't have a aircon or it's hot, and like, you know, light a fire or hop in the water if it's hot, you know, like, just simple.
50 blankets, you would.
But like, I'd wake up, and then I'd go for a run, go in the water, make myself some breakfast.
Did you meet any like random interesting people?
Yeah, like I'd have a chat to anyone who was sort of just floating around, of people like, you know, doing the same sort of thing. You see all kinds of walks of life on the road, to be honest. You don't know, like, people from other countries, like, so many interesting stories. And like, I'd sort of just sit back, and like, for me, like, almost just watching the world go by is so interesting. You don't know where.
Did you also feel like, shit, man, we really don't need a lot of stuff?
Oh yeah.
Did you notice that?
100%. That's like, that was the biggest thing of the trip, and I was like so happy with so little.
Man,
so happy with so little.
Yeah.
So I literally had some food. I did a shop at this, like I said at the start, and I did a shop halfway on the way back. So I bought what I needed, and
that's sick.
That was it. And I just had my swag cooked up, and I just go for walks along the beach, just go exploring, and
I love that.
Yeah, just that was it was honestly the best. Like I just feel free.
It was a medicine, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. For your mind.
Yeah.
By the time you come back, it was different. What do you feel?
You can't, like, you know, the second you come back, you because you step out of that such overstimulated area, you're like, whoa, like, I really don't need so much, or I don't, you know. But when you come back, you're like, wow, like, I'm just trying to like keep that same energy, keep the same, you know. I don't need everything. I don't need to go buy flashy things all the time. Like, I don't, not that I do, but I don't need to go buy another pair of shoes. I have 2 pairs of shoes already. Like, I don't need, like, you just sort of learn, like, you don't really, you just don't need a whole lot. But when you come back, you see everyone stuck in that trap almost. It's just like, I wish
everyone does this trip.
That's
almost like
the world would be such a more peaceful life.
100%. It would be hard.
100%. All right, here's a question as a parent. Sarah wants to be a fighter. And I love, like, I go to fights and I love it, and I'm like, but then I think, fuck, man, if that was my son in there, because like when you guys are in there, like, I would get really aggressive and angry, and I'm emotional, and it's like, you know, your own is fighting, and you're like, want to kill everybody.
I remember Rory.
Yeah.
You gave Rory the energy last time.
Go, Rory, because I don't even know this lady. Because I was like, bro, we're gonna jump in that cage and beat him up, you know, and I was like. And then Sarah was like obsessed, so he's like, oh, you know, I'm going to be a fighter. And I was like, oh my God, that's great. And inside I'm like, holy fuck, man, how would I deal with that? So your parents are going through that with you, like, and you are in it. What would you say to a mum like me who has got a kid, who is really not an aggressive kid? He's like you. He sounds a lot like you, very placid, very doesn't like violence, but fucking has his thing for wanting to be a fighter.
Yeah.
And he loves it, lives it.
Yeah.
So what?
It's the exact same for me. Like my mum supports me, but she could never watch.
Yeah, that's what
she could never watch. She says like, if I were to come,
so she never come to your fights.
I don't think I could either.
She's been to a fight show once, and like someone copped a hiding, and she like had a newspaper. She just put her head behind it, like she just couldn't watch. She says she'd just jump in the cage if it was me, but she supports me 100% because that's what I love. Like that's what makes me happy. And she's always frantically cleaning the house whenever I'm away. Whenever I fight, she's like, send me a text straight away.
I've got to do something.
She goes and occupies herself. But that's a question I have to ask her. But yeah, she supports me, but I...
And do you understand that? Like that she can't be there? Because it's like, cool.
Well, my sister, she started training at the gym as well. And she's like super getting into it. And she's like, I got my first sparring session. I want to do sparring. And I'm like, yeah, cool. But like I support her absolutely as well. And again, like I fight... and I don't get nervous, but if Abby was to have a fight, I would be like, you know,
when you have no sense of control over the situation,
it's hard. It's like getting a beating.
It's a tricky one. Like I am super grateful that they support me, but I don't blame them for her. Well, Dad supports me, and he comes, and he's the same. I'm sure he feels like super emotion. But I don't blame Mum for not coming. Like like I would never stop him either. But I like the fact that you always were that mellow kid. Yeah. Because Zaraba's very mellow too. Like he's quite mellow, so I like that. Yeah, I think it's a good thing. Like in that scene, it's not like you don't have to be that macho man. You know what I mean? You don't have to be the big, strong, tough guy. Like you can have a soft side as well, as I do.
And I think that's really nice for boys to hear too, you know, that you don't have to fucking do that, man.
No.
It can be exhausting sometimes for someone trying to be someone they're not.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
To put on this persona.
You can only do it
it's not you, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It can be exhausting.
And by being you, it encourages other people to be themselves as well. And you don't have to be anyone, you know what I mean? You don't be you, be authentic, be you. It's
100%.
The way that you'll be happy, you'll be able to, like, you can't be fake forever. Like, it's not sustainable.
Well, it's toxic and it takes a toll. It really does.
The majority of these so-called role models in the world had that mindset.
Oh God,
been a much better
they wouldn't
place.
be role models.
They wouldn't be.
It would be just general population. It's sad though, isn't it?
Yeah.
But no. It's really nice to hear because, you know, obviously when you have got kids and, you know, they're growing up and you know what sort of comes, and especially with boys, there is this thing with fighting, just is, I think, nature. It is sort of like, you know, even in tribal times and stuff, they have certain rituals and that.
It's an alpha.
I do find it's very healthy. I actually do. That's why I support it. I find it's very healthy for boys. But what I love with that is that there's a fucking respectful way of doing it. Yeah. You know, there's an honourable way of doing it. And I love that that's sprouting now. And people are being able to speak about feelings and more holistic ways and other practices and what they do with their mind to keep it, you know, at peace. And you don't always have to be angry and aggressive and fucking, you know, you can be a great fighter without having that fucking anger, you know?
Yeah. I listened to a thing and it was for a football player on a podcast, and he used to be so wound up in he is fighting. He is football. Like he was a captain of, I don't know if Travis Boak used to play. He still plays, but he was in the mindset of so long that he is football, not he was playing football. So it's like for me, it's like I fight. I am not fighting. Travis Boak.
Like that.
So like I fight, but I am not fighting. Like I am. You know, fighting is different to me.
That's not your
I do
identity.
Fighting. Exactly right.
You participate in this thing.
Yeah.
But it's not who you are.
That's right. So that allows me to, you know, enjoy it for what it is and still be myself and
it separates.
Yeah.
It's
the
moment you're fighting. When you're not in the gym, if you're not, you know, punching on in the cage. You're out for dinner with your missus, you can relax.
And if someone bumps you, man, it's okay.
It's all good,
okay, bro.
You haven't got anything to prove.
Exactly.
No,
exactly.
Never.
It's like a painter going for dinner. Someone, I'm gonna fucking paint you. No one does that.
Eating your dinner going, fucking
Fucking
green wall.
pay.
Paint that thing white. What are you gonna do?
Why don't you do it with me?
No, you're right.
Because you bumped me.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah.
No, it's not that. Yeah, it's definitely. I do fighting, but I am not fighting.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
it's not me.
I love that.
I love it.
So why don't you leave us with a last message for your young boys or girls who are wanting to take
young children
your route and go down that path, and what would you like to say to them?
Just be yourself. Like, do what you love. Do whatever makes you happy. If that's what you love, do it to the fullest. Like, I mean, it's cliche, but you get one shot at this life. Like, if that's what you love, like, do that. For me, like, fighting is my outlet. It's like my happy place. So I just do that more and more. But yeah, if it makes you happy, do it. Like, I'm sort of bad at expressing how I feel sometimes.
Chase happiness, 100%.
Yeah. You only get one shot at it.
You get one shot and do it with a smile on your face. True.
Yeah.
And it's not about the winning and losing, right? It's
absolutely.
It's amazing to feel all that.
Yeah.
But it's like the whole process.
And enjoy the process.
Yeah, like the people, the process, the moment. It's everything.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not just
enjoy
the glory
it all,
as well. Yeah.
And it's the journey that makes it what it is. Like, you got to enjoy every day and take every day for what it is. Like, you have your fights, but enjoy the whole process and everyone around you, and be like, take it all and enjoy every little bit of it. Thanks,
Jack.
It's good to have you on, buddy.
Thanks, man.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. I do appreciate it.
I beat Jack at table tennis though, guys. Just want to let you know.
But I beat her. Alright, cool. So that's a wrap for this episode. Don't forget, guys, to leave comments, questions, subscribe, all that stuff there, share. And we're also going to be soon doing our own Instagram and TikTok and setting up that.
Yeah.
So to make it a bit more easier for you guys to jump on board and follow and share for us as well. Jack, mad respect to you, bro.
Yeah,
keep killing life, because you're not just a killer fighter, but you're killing life. So keep doing it.
Man, at your age too. Like, hats off.
100%.
I'll keep doing what I'm doing. Hopefully inspiring.
And guys, his ears are like that from wrestling.
No, they're actually not. I was born with big ears. I just got a little bit. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Oh, that's the best. All right, cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.